When a stop is required at an intersection and no markings appear to indicate a stop line or crosswalk, a driver A. is not required to stop. B. is required to slow down to make sure crossing traffic is clear. C. should stop only at a place where they can see at least 200 feet on either side, even if they have to enter the intersecting roadway. D. should stop where they have a clear view of approaching traffic before they enter the intersecting roadway. D. should stop where they have a clear view of approaching traffic before they enter the intersecting roadway. If there is no stop line or crosswalk, you should stop at the point nearest to the intersecting roadway where you can get a view of approaching traffic. You should not enter the intersecting roadway to gain a better view. Traffic signals sometimes display arrows to control turns from specific lanes. A solid red arrow, A, is never used as a traffic signal. B, has the same meaning as a circular red traffic light. C, means that drivers may turn in the direction indicated by the arrow. D, means that the traffic the arrow is pointing toward must stop. B, has the same meaning as a circular red traffic light. A solid red arrow in a traffic signal means the same thing as a circular red traffic light. When an arrow is red, traffic in the indicated lane must stop and may not turn in the direction that the arrow is pointing. When you park uphill on a street with a curb, A, keep the front wheel straight and set the parking brake. B, turn the front wheels away from the curb. C, turn the front wheels toward the curb. D, turn the back wheels into the curb. B, turn the front wheels away from the curb. When parking on an incline where there is a curb, you should turn your wheels sharply to the left, away from the curb. This way, if your brakes fail, your vehicle will not roll into traffic. You have been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol and have refused to take the required chemical test. You may lose your driver license for 12 months. A, only if you are convicted of driving while under the influence of alcohol. B, only if you are convicted of a traffic violation. C, because you have refused to take the test. D, under no circumstances. C, because you have refused to take the test. Any person operating a motor vehicle in Hawaii consents to having their blood alcohol content (BAC) tested when requested by law enforcement. Refusing to take a chemical test will result in the revocation of your license for a minimum of 1 year.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
Allowing a space cushion between your vehicle and its surroundings is important because it A, prevents distractions from other vehicles. B, allows you time to react to unexpected situations. C, keeps traffic flowing at a safe pace. D, keeps other drivers alert. B, allows you time to react to unexpected situations. The only way to be sure you will have enough time to react to mistakes made by other drivers is to leave plenty of space between you and the vehicles around you. You are driving in the right lane of a multi-lane highway and want to move into the left lane. You should A, look in your rearview mirror for traffic behind you before changing lanes. B, look over your left shoulder for traffic in your blind spot before changing lanes. C, look in your side mirror for traffic and turn on your directional signal. D, all of the above. D, all of the above. Before changing lanes, you should always verify that there are no other vehicles in the lane you want to enter by checking your mirrors and looking over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move. You should signal every time you change lanes. Passing is prohibited. A. On hills and curves. B. At intersections. C. At railroad crossings. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Locations where it is unlawful and unsafe to pass another vehicle include hills, curves, intersections, and railroad crossings. Worn or bald tires. A. Can make turning more difficult. B. Are likely to hydroplane. C. Can increase your stopping distance. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Worn or bald tires can increase your stopping distance and make turning more difficult. Tires without adequate tread also increase the risk of hydroplaning. Before turning, you should A. Use your signal. B. Turn the wheel. C. Increase your speed. D. Change lanes. A. Use your signal. To complete a turn safely, you should activate your turn signal 3 to 4 seconds before your turn. This sign is a A. Service sign. B. Regulatory sign. C. Warning sign. D. Stop sign. C. Warning sign. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped and yellow with black lettering or symbols. They warn drivers about special situations or potential hazards ahead. Which of the following recommendations does not promote safe night driving? A. Keep your windshield clean. B. Be aware that tinted windows reduce visibility in the dark. C. Carry a flashlight in your vehicle. D. Look into the headlights of oncoming vehicles. D. Look into the headlights of oncoming vehicles. If you look into the headlights of an oncoming vehicle, the pupil of your eye will contract. After the oncoming vehicle has passed, there will be an interval of time during which the pupil must readjust to the less intense light. During this recovery period, you are virtually driving blind. When approaching a railroad crossing, you should A. Slow down. B. Look for a train. C. Be ready to stop. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. When you see any signs indicating a nearby railroad crossing, you should slow down, look for a train, and be ready to stop. If the red warning lights are flashing or the gate is down, you must stop 15 to 50 feet before the railroad tracks. Do not try to go around the gate. This sign means A. Pedestrians ahead. B. End of construction zone. C. School crossing ahead. D. Flagger ahead. D. Flagger ahead. This sign indicates that there is a flagger ahead controlling traffic in a construction area. Defensive driving is A. Identifying dangerous driving situations and taking action to avoid accidents. B. Defending yourself against poor drivers by getting ahead of them in traffic. C. Following the vehicle ahead of you at a close distance. D. Quickly changing lanes and shifting in and out of traffic congestion. A. Identifying dangerous driving situations and taking action to avoid accidents. You drive defensively when you identify dangerous driving situations and take action before an accident occurs. Defensive driving helps prevent conflicts with aggressive, offensive, discourteous, careless, inattentive, impulsive, ignorant, or intoxicated drivers or pedestrians. Newer vehicles have equipment warning lamps installed on the instrument panel. Which of the following statements is correct? A. All lamps should be illuminated when the ignition switch is first turned on before the engine is started. B. No lamps should illuminate until the engine is running. C. The lamps should never illuminate unless there is a malfunction. D. The lamps will only illuminate if the headlights are turned on. A. All lamps should be illuminated when the ignition switch is first turned on before the engine is started. Equipment warning lamps on a vehicle instrument panel should all be illuminated when the ignition switch is turned on. A warning lamp that is not illuminated when the ignition switch is turned on indicates that the lamp is not functioning. A telltale sign of a drunk driver is: A. They are weaving between lanes. B. They are driving more slowly than the normal traffic flow. C. They are making quick and sudden stops. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Telltale signs of drunk driving include speeding, weaving, driving more slowly than the normal traffic flow, making jerking motions, and making quick and sudden stops. Railroad crossings should always be considered: A. Safe to cross, as it is unlikely that a train will be coming. B. Dangerous. C. Safe locations to park a car. D. A place where it is required to stop. B. Dangerous. Railroad crossings are always dangerous. Drivers should always look and listen for trains approaching from either direction on all railroad tracks. Always follow the directions indicated by signs, signals, and flaggers. Never proceed past a railroad crossing until you are certain it is safe to do so. When you are being tailgated: A. Move over to the right, if there is an open lane to your right. B. If there is not an open lane to your right, wait until the way is clear ahead and reduce your speed slowly to encourage the tailgater to drive around you. C. Never slow down abruptly. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. If you are being tailgated by another driver and there is a right lane, move over to the right. If there is no right lane, wait until the road ahead is clear and then reduce your speed slowly. This will encourage the tailgater to drive around you. Never slow down abruptly, as this will only increase the risk of your vehicle being hit from behind. Drive below the posted speed limit when: A. Anything makes conditions less than perfect. B. You see a police car. C. Entering a highway where there are other cars. D. You are on a 4-lane road. A. Anything makes conditions less than perfect. When the road is wet or slippery, when you cannot see well, or when anything else makes conditions less than perfect, drive below the posted speed limit. Even if you are driving within the posted speed limit, you can still be ticketed for driving too fast for conditions. When driving on wet pavement, it's important to remember: A. That pavement is especially slippery right after it starts to rain. B. That wet roads can cause hydroplaning. C. To give yourself additional space when coming to a stop. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Wet roadway surfaces can be dangerously slick, especially immediately following a rainfall. When you are driving on wet roads, Your vehicle is traveling on a thin layer of oil, dirt, and water. Slow down when there is heavy rain, standing water, or slush on the road to reduce the risk of your wheels losing traction on the slick surface. When encountering an aggressive driver, you should A. Avoid eye contact, slow down, and let them pass. B. Cut them off to slow them down. C. Retaliate by tailgating them. D. Make sure they know you disapprove of their behavior. A. Avoid eye contact, slow down, and let them pass. If another driver is threatening you or intentionally driving dangerously around you, remain calm and try to put as much distance between the two of you as possible. Slow down and let them pass. Do not make eye contact and do not make obscene gestures. You are late to work and in a hurry. Before you back into the street, you should A. Honk your horn. B. Check for children and other objects around your car. C. Rev your engine so that animals will get out of the way. D. Check for traffic before getting into your vehicle. B. Check for children and other objects around your car. Backing is a dangerous maneuver due to the restricted visibility and should be done with great caution. Exercise extraordinary caution when backing up in residential areas. Children often play behind and between parked vehicles. This sign means A. Side road. B. Low clearance. C. Merging traffic. D. Prepare to stop. A. Side road. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign tells drivers to be aware of potential traffic entering from an upcoming side road. To practice defensive driving, you should A. Be aware of developing traffic situations around you. B. Consistently look well ahead of your vehicle and maintain proper following distances. C. Have an alternate plan of action ready. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Be a defensive driver by looking well ahead of your vehicle and anticipating chain reaction traffic situations. Always have an alternate plan of action ready in case an unexpected event develops. Always maintain the proper following distance and speed for road conditions. Double solid yellow lines painted down the middle of the road mean A. Railroad crossing ahead. B. Pedestrian crossing ahead. C. Passing is not permitted from either direction. D. Passing is permitted from either direction. C. Passing is not permitted from either direction. Double solid yellow lines in the center of the road mean that passing is not allowed from either direction. You may not cross the lines unless you are making a left turn or passing pedestrians, bicyclists, and riders of scooters or skateboards when the opposite lane is clear and you can pass safely. Stop lines are solid white lines painted across traffic lanes. A. In curves and on hills. B. Next to churches and schools. C. At intersections and pedestrian crosswalks. D. On freeway on-ramps. C. At intersections and pedestrian crosswalks. Stop lines are solid white lines painted across traffic lanes at intersections and pedestrian crosswalks. They indicate the exact location at which approaching drivers must stop. You are driving on a highway divided by two solid yellow lines. You may A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. B. Cross these lines to pass other vehicles, but only if there is no oncoming traffic. C. Cross these lines under no circumstances. D. Cross these lines only to make a U-turn. A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. Double solid yellow lines are used to mark roadways where passing is prohibited from both directions. You may cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. This sign is a warning that you are approaching A. An intersection. B. A crosswalk. C. A railroad crossing. D. A blasting zone. C. A railroad crossing. This sign indicates that you are approaching a railroad crossing. A speed restriction sign. A. May be ignored in rainy, snowy, or icy conditions. B. Has a triangular shape. C. Is blue with black lettering. D. Shows a recommended speed for a curve or turn. D. Shows a recommended speed for a curve or turn. Curve and turn warning signs often have attached advisory speed signs that show a recommended driving speed for drivers in the curves and turns. Although a driver may feel comfortable driving at a higher speed in fair weather, they should never do so under rainy, snowy, or icy conditions. As a motorist, you should A. Respect the rights and privileges of bicyclists. B. Allow a bicyclist twice as much room as you think they need. C. Give a bicyclist the right of way when you crossing a bike lane. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Bicycles are legally considered vehicles with the same rights and responsibilities as other vehicles. Look for and yield to bicyclists when crossing bike lanes. When driving a motor vehicle, give bicyclists plenty of space.